Dark shadows of adultery lurked in my own family. When I discovered that my wife was cheating on me with a drug addict, determination ignited in me. I found him and resolved to deal with this traitor, but what happened left traces that cannot be forgotten. This story of infidelity and the drama of fate will reveal to you amazing facts that will shake your idea of an intimate relationship. Hi everyone, I'm going to tell you my story basically. Now I am 42, she is only 26, and right away, I want to cut off all the talk about the age difference. It was not felt. We were absolutely comfortable together. I look about 10 years younger, and my lifestyle is very active. So I am always in shape and physical and intimate. We met when she was 17. About a year later, we started living together. Everything was great for 6 years. She adored me. There were practically no quarrels, no complaints from her side either. We did everything together. I introduced her to the adult world, taught her, encouraged her, of course. The relationship developed in the format of the leading slave, as she is absolutely not initiative. At first I put down her immaturity to her age. I thought that with time and under my influence something would change for the better, but then it became a little straining. It was nice for her to live a relaxed life, because I am always there to solve everything, always support her, but in general I was happy with everything, because I like this type of relationship. In intimacy in the beginning everything was good too, but as I understand now, good for me. On her part, it was more of a concession to me rather than attraction and even more passion. Rather, she was enjoying herself purely psychologically. Of course, she had no men before me. Gradually, on the basis of intimate life, there were quarrels, because I wanted her to show more emotion, and the frequency was not satisfactory. Attempts to talk always ended in hysterics on her part, and of course slamming the door. She herself is the kind of person who does not take criticism even in mild form. Because of this, she has constant problems in her relationships with others. Negative points on my part as I see them. Maybe not so much time, as I have a very busy work schedule, but all the weekends together, every summer trips to the sea. I am not a great romantic myself, so flowers and other things are usually on holidays and not so often if there is no occasion. But I always try to diversify our leisure time. Movies, meetings with friends, cafes, restaurants, trips to nature, and so on. It went without saying that I took care of her, all the housework, her health problems, her work, her studies. She only took care of cooking. That's one of the household chores. Until she graduated from college and went to work. Of course, she was fully dependent on me. And when she worked, she spent all of her salary on herself. All the problems started after she went to work. At first she would get tired, come in, eat, and go straight to bed. Of course, I went into her situation, especially since she was very sickly and weak, but 2 years passed and nothing really changed. We began to drift apart. I started complaining that I hurt her freedom. I did not allow her to be independent, although she cannot do anything on her own. And even if she did something, then I had to get involved, well, so there would be no problems. No one infringed on her in anything. She just needed a theatrical demonstration that she is an adult, and the problems she knew, all the same I will solve. Her constant whining that she was bored, while she herself was not into anything. She did not read books, spent all her evenings in front of the TV, watching shows like Guillaume 2 about the life of stars and about fashion. There were some tough attempts on my part to change the situation. Several times during her temper tantrums I had to use force. I did not beat her, of course, but I repent I slapped her in the face for sobering up, and I also dipped her under cold tap water. The result is zero, neither talk, nor caress, nor force, nothing has changed. Well, at one point I learned that she had some friends. As she told me, they were a bunch of 19 to 23-year-old bums, and she was just having fun with them. Then I got into her phone and found correspondence of love content. I didn't talk right away, but decided to get information about the person. When I found out, I was shocked. Her chosen one, 3 years younger than her, was a heavy drinker, a dealer in illegal substances, and also addicted to the same substances himself. He was also treated in a mental hospital for the consequences of his drug use, has a criminal record, doesn't work anywhere, and has never worked. His mother gave birth to him when he was 16. When he was 13, she went abroad, and it is unclear who raised him. He has never seen his father. He himself is covered in tattoos on the most racy topic and is constantly poking new ones. He tells her how cool he is, that he has a lot of money and connections. But in fact, he has nothing and only pants and underpants. All their pastime was hanging out at his apartment or going to his friends' houses. There was no leisure time and no money, and his peculiarity was the constant babbling about love. A lot of texts during the day and promises of paradise life. I told her everything and took her to the police. They also explained everything to her, showed her all the information about his criminal record and substances, and told her that she could be put under investigation if she was caught. Her relatives talked to her all the time. She, sort of came to her senses, changed her SIM card in the phone, but 2 weeks went by and she called him herself. He turned out to be on a binge, doesn't eat anything, and like he's going to die soon from it. She felt sorry for him. He was so miserable. Blah, blah, blah. She went to see him and bought food to feed him. He is constantly pouring into her ears about unearthly love, sending texts dozens a day, promising to make amends, quit drinking, and get a job. But he sleeps until lunchtime and then goes out with friends until nighttime. I couldn't stand it. I went to the apartment where he lived and she was there at the time. So he ran away into another room and locked himself in. I almost turned her on and brought her home, but it did not help for long. And now she finally got off with him. Every day at his expense drags him bags of groceries, and he feeds her promises that he is about to get a job. I certainly understand that she is a complete fool, but so many years of relationship and family life is difficult to immediately forget, and the ego for his grandfather. So I am in a tough depression. I would like to listen to people's opinions, and my friend told me a rather ambiguous opinion on it all. Like, you were just satisfied with a young, obedient, uninitiative, and infantile woman. And they say, shit, I introduced her to adulthood. Not so. Any attempts to accustom her to independence ended in tears. Then she was afraid. She does not know how. She was panic-stricken by communication with strangers. Naturally, I could see that something was wrong, and it gave away a little bit by my action. Her father passed away when she was 12 years old. He died. At 16, she moved to another city to study, lived with her sister. A year later, we met. As for tearing her away from this addictive deleter, no, you cannot. And at all under his influence, everyone became enemies. Me, her mother, her sister. She does not listen to anyone. Thinks that we stipulated that he has a difficult fate, and her goal is to support him. She says, I'll dress him up, get him a job, make him study, and he lies to her all the time, that he has his own business, that he works as a security guard, that his friends will put him in a cab, and all that kind of stuff. As far as I understand, he lives by selling these very substances. His mom gives him some money. All of his friends are just like him, don't work anywhere, also drink and use. Any attempts to open her eyes immediately cause aggression and slam the door. He's really good, just nobody supports him, and I can. That's what she says. He's also connected to crime. He was once convicted of trying to bribe a penitentiary officer. Apparently he wanted to bring something forbidden to the zone. She knows everything, if anything. I would like to add some more details. All these events have been going on for 3 months. During that time, she began to smoke in unthinkable quantities, constant nervous breakdowns and hysterics, a heart attack. She now lives with her mother. So when this happens, she calls me right away, even at night, and asks me to come and be with her. This has happened more than once. Of course I come, sit next to her, take her to the hospital for an IV, even to the point of having to take her to a psychiatric hospital for a psychiatric consultation. She had very negative tendencies, you know what I mean. And for all of this here is such gratitude. She never even once asked for forgiveness or said thank you. Of course, issues were resolved informally with the police. It was suggested to take him in. But it is not a quick process. He is a courier, takes the money afterwards, delivers the goods, so to speak, and that's it. Catch must be red-handed in the pocket, but it's not so easy. Plus, he apparently realized that his person's special attention and intensely coded, as she told the police, change phone numbers, walks around constantly, looking around and controlling others. Well, a few words about her education and introduction to adulthood. First, on a personal example, she saw my lifestyle, my social circle, my actions, my interests. I always try to discuss with her life issues and situations, recommended something to read, something to watch. I have friends, younger than me by 10 years, often spent their leisure time together. The company was attended by girls of these friends around her age. Of course, they discussed something, talked about something, so that in principle, she should not be bored and uninterested. But I could never think that it will pull at all brainless, infantile kids, because his company had guys who are 19 years old, and she was interesting with them. I have a girlfriend I know, her age, but compared to her, it's, believe me, heaven and earth, purposeful, interested with principles and ambitions, and most importantly, they have the opportunity to also swim with the flow. The benefit somewhere can be cared for by parents, somewhere her husband, but they are not interested. The psychiatrist said that she has an hypertrophied emotional perception of reality. Her mind is on the margins. Emotions decide everything. I talked to him, explained everything. But when she left the office, she said, "I do not want anyone to teach me about life. I will sort it out myself." In general, any attempt to reach out to the mind in any situation always met with a harsh rebuff from her side. And no matter who spoke to her, me, her mother, girlfriend, sister, whatever, it immediately showed terrible irritation. You know, I do not quite understand how after living for so many years in a certain household and in a certain psychological environment with me, there was such a sharp jump in the exact opposite direction. I do not understand, for example, I knew that he worked in an office. She communicates and befriends not the office staff, but with the laborers and longshoremen, and she likes this level. In the present situation, it is absolutely unclear to me what can be interesting to her with young, uneducated hooligans with addictions. Such things usually girls go through at 17. Well, not at 26, as for what I want. I certainly understand that even if she returns, then nothing good will come out. But the heart does not do, constantly spinning in his head thought. I don't know what to do if she comes back, but I realize that even if she does come back, and it's not a good thing, but you can't help but think all the time I'm always going around in my head that maybe, I figuratively told the police, an FDC's acquaintance about the alcohol that she told her that he supposedly has problems with alcohol and he was treated in a mental hospital. Like he tried to stop, and on this ground he went crazy. Then she had a situation when after talking to FDCS, she changed her mind and did not communicate with him for 2 weeks. And then she met him and told me that he had lost twice as much weight, that he lost half his weight because he is drinking. What is there in reality alcohol or substances? I do not know anymore, but the fact that he is drugging information in 100%. What he is sitting on is my guess. I am not an expert, but the symptom, and as I described, he can talk to her on the phone for hours in monologue mode, can call several times in the middle of the night, although he knows that she has to work in the morning. It is as though zombification is going on. She only gives in when talking to him. Also, his brother periodically calls her. He is sitting in places not so distant. He is allegedly an authority and also processes psychologically. But in fact, it is not clear what kind of person. But he is more mature than him. Everything is checked. There is no brother. The man can call from the next house, introduce himself as anybody. He was in mental hospital. Probably, the only information which is necessary to specify the diagnosis. Yes, the girl has exactly and a large stake in a large monopolist, a share in real estate, and shares in real estate from parents. But all this is postponed for the future. But the concept of a large does not mean that you can buy a mansion in Monte Carlo, enough for a 2-room apartment. No more than that. The task at the moment is not to let her fall to the bottom. The rest is secondary. At the moment, the relationship as such simply does not exist. And about saving, is it impossible to want it? Because her future is not just vague. It is predictably sad, well, and about love. To fall out one moment difficult. If you really love, of course, not looking even at the betrayal. Here many people for some reason represent our relationship as a kind of mesalliance, such as I, the classic daddy, and she concubine. But it is absolutely not so. There was a mutual love and affection. On her part, there was never any demands of money. From my side, of course, was caring, support. But in general, this is normal. Any loving man will do it. But it was not in a hypertrophied form. No one blew the dust off. Yes, I had to do something myself after fruitless attempts to achieve her independent action. But this is her character, not mine. Anyway, in a few months, maybe even weeks, I will write back here on the channel again and tell you how things are at the moment. Thank you for listening, and please advise how to do it right. I am very confused, although the man, you are not stupid. Thank you. Dear listeners, thank you and I for watching this video, for subscribing to the channel, and if you have not done so, you can do so directly below the video. I wish you the best of health and please take care of your loved ones.